Wouldn't it be great if there was a way to customize learning to every single person in the organization, but also have them be responsible and accountable for their own learning? And on top of it, also involve their managers so that all skills and knowledge are aligned on a company level? Yes, it would be nice. Luckily for us, there's a way to do it. It's called personal development plans. In this lesson, we will explore exactly what that is, what's the process for setting it up, and I will share with you some of my tested tips on how to implement PDPs into your organization. But I'd be curious to learn, what do you know about PDPs? Let me know, what is your experience in the Discuss tab. So what exactly is a personal development plan? The PDP, as it's usually called, is a tool for creating and pursuing any career path based on self-awareness, reflection, goal setting, and planning for personal and career development. For example, an HR administrator may want to grow in their career in human resources, so their goal would be to become a manager through internal promotion. Even if a management position is currently not available, this person can prepare for it through a PDP. Looking through the job description of an HR manager, they may realize that the only thing they don't know is understanding strategic human resources. That is a capability gap and therefore a development area. So the activity that would help them get there is to attend a training or a certification program on strategic HR management. Or they could also benefit from some mentoring. All of these details would ideally be documented somewhere, in a file or the HR system. You yourself started your personal development plan in the beginning of this course. You set a goal and you've been adding development areas to it throughout. It will be useful to you in planning your professional growth. But why do companies use them? Organizations usually adopt PDPs for two main reasons: to enhance employee skills and knowledge, and to prepare them to move to another role within the company. Is there another reason for companies to use PDPs? What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the Discuss tab. And while you're at it, here's another question. What are the pros and cons of using PDPs? Again, let me know in the Discuss tab. By the way, in the lesson worksheet, I've added some pros and cons to using personal development plans. Compare your list and let me know if I missed anything. Personal development shouldn't be a one-time event though. It should be ongoing, continuous cycle of 3 steps: goal setting, feedback, and review meetings. The process starts with the employee. They draft their development goals, which are based on 3 things: their career aspirations, feedback they've received from their manager and colleagues, and current skills and knowledge requirements for their role. Then it's time to meet with their manager to review the goals. The manager should provide their feedback on the goals and they would agree on 3 to 4 objectives. This is an ideal number as too little may not be stretching enough and too many may be overwhelming. In meeting with the manager, the employee should expect some questions on why they set these goals. Why are they important? What are their obstacles? And how can the manager help them accomplish their development goals? The manager here is encouraged to give feedback on the goals. If the employee doesn't understand the feedback, they should ask for specific examples and clarifications. During this meeting, it would be also appropriate to ask for advice from the manager. All of these actions are there to ensure the development plan is relevant and will help the employee achieve their career goals. Finally, throughout the year, the manager should provide the employee with feedback on their progress and even coach them. Ideally, this would take place during a monthly check-in meeting or as part of their regular one-on-ones. As you can see, employees and managers both play an active role in the development planning. However, the expectation is that the employee will drive the process. If you want to introduce PDPs into your organization, there are 5 very important things that we, as L&D practitioners, need to ensure. First, it is that the employee's right to decide what goes into the plan. The manager is encouraged to recommend goals and targets, but they should be agreed with the employee. Otherwise, you risk telling them what to do, them agreeing but not buying into it. And the result is that the PDP remains a piece of paper that is just a formality and doesn't mean diddly squat. Secondly, the manager should be directly involved in the assessment of the employee's development needs and in the preparation of the PDP. The way to do this is for the manager and the employee to spend time on self-reflection, asking for feedback from peers, colleagues, and other managers, thinking back to situations when the employee was unsuccessful in accomplishing a task, and so on. Thirdly, in order for the development plan to be successful, the employee needs to receive immediate and objective feedback on their progress. And I would even add the employee needs to receive feedback when there is no progress at all as well. I've worked with clients who prepare amazing development plans and then 3 weeks later forget about them. So in such cases, I use feedback as a reminder. And speaking of regular cadence, the plan itself needs to be reviewed regularly and updated if necessary. Let's say that a manager has set a goal to experiment with 3 ways to motivate his team by the end of the quarter. If this goal has been achieved, then a new one can take its place. But if it hasn't, it needs to be reviewed carefully and updated accordingly. Some of the questions to ask here are: what stopped you from being able to work on this objective? Or what are some of the barriers that you experienced? You can even ask if this goal is still relevant. Depending on the answers, you would then urge the employee to reevaluate or redefine the development goal. Finally, something very important to mention here is that all personal or individual development plans have to remain confidential. They should only be made available to the employee, their manager, and key stakeholders like HR or L&D. Admitting you don't know something is a vulnerability that not a lot of people are willing to show. So ensuring that this is a confidential business, you allow people to be vulnerable, open, and honest in their PDPs. And to ensure all of this is in place, your role as L&D is to educate both managers and employees of the process and their responsibilities at each stage. This can be done with a detailed description in a formal process, or it can be a simple email with instructions to main stakeholders. In the lesson worksheet, you will find a few PDP templates that you can use to plan your own growth. But you can use any other format. Follow the instructions to come up with your own development plan. Before we wrap up though, here's something very important to remember. I said it before and I will say it again, employees are the ones responsible for their development. On a practical level, this means that they have to book all the meetings with their managers, use their feedback and the coaching to improve their performance, and document the outcomes, achievements, and lessons that they have learned throughout the year. I have worked with people who consider their development to be the company's responsibility. They basically think that development is something that should be done to them. But the reality is that development should come from within and therefore should be driven by those who wish to grow and learn. So let's review. You as an employee should draft your development goals by using feedback you received from your manager and peers, your past and current performance, and your career aspirations. It is also up to you as an employee to book a meeting with your manager to review your development goals and ask for his or her feedback and advice. On the other hand, it is your manager's role to help you with the creation of your goals and supporting you throughout the year by giving you feedback on your progress, coaching you, and providing any additional support you may need. To practice this, I would recommend that you book a meeting with your line manager and discuss your career aspirations. A word to the wise: don't expect your manager to approach you with this conversation. Be proactive and take the administrative burden of booking a meeting away from them. This way, you will allow them to focus on the feedback and coaching process, which has a higher added value for you and your development. Once you have that conversation, please come back to this lesson and share what happened in the Discuss tab. To help you structure your thoughts, think about: what did you discuss? How did you feel throughout the meeting? What agreements did you come to? How will you follow up going forward? As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. For more tips and tricks, head over to the L&D Academy, where we share useful resources specifically designed for learning and development practitioners. If you enjoy this, please like and subscribe for more content like this.